Hello to all my mackerel friends and colleagues from around the world. This is David Ettinger from Shanghai, China, talking to you from my apartment. I wanted to first of all thank all of you for participating in the AGM in the cloud, a rather unique type of AGM for us, but we're just so happy that we can still all be together, even if it's virtually. I wanted to basically break down my sort of vision into two parts. The first part really is more personal, just to give you an idea of who I am. Hopefully many of you by now know who I am, but I've been in the network since 2007. My firm is the Washington, D.C. member by the name of Keller and Heckman. We've been a member since around the year 2000. I got involved in mackerel around 2007 and have been an active member for the last 13 years. And we are a unique firm in that we have lawyers and scientists that practice in the area of regulatory law, and we have a special emphasis on food and food safety. I've been with the firm for almost 20 years. In about 2012, the firm asked me to move to Shanghai with my family. I've been living in Shanghai with my three children, Jamie, Dylan, Seviana. We have enjoyed living in China since they were quite young. In fact, you can see here that this is a photo taken of them in front of their school, probably a week after our arrival. And Sevi was about 10 years old, Jamie was 6, and Dylan was 5. And you can see from this photo that they have grown quite a bit in the last 8 years. They are almost my height now, so time has passed. We've certainly had our recent challenges in China. We started this year with some great difficulty here. We were one of the first probably anywhere in the world to be wearing masks. Sometimes we made light of the situation, but other times it was fairly scary. It wasn't too long before masks were pretty much worn by everybody around the world. I can tell you from being about 2 months ahead of where the rest of the world is that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and I think we're starting to see that. In fact, here's a photo of my team in Shanghai, our first day back to the office. We're still being cautious. So that's a little bit about me and my family. I did want to take some time to certainly talk about Nigel Rowley and his incredible leadership with the network, but I decided to do that in a separate video, which you can watch in one of the other AGM virtual rooms. But here are some highlights. What's his name? Nigel. Rowley or Rowley? 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 Okay. Fully understood and appreciated that you had to do those weekly Brexit videos away from the office in the privacy of your home. And I'm sure it was a lot of work, and I'm sure you had to put a lot of time and effort into putting up those YouTube videos. How many views? Can you check the view stat on that? 10 views? It's got to be more than that. 10? All right. I know you're all here on behalf of Nigel. Can I get a little round of applause for Nigel, please? Thank you. All right. Easy. So now let me take you to my office in Shanghai, where I can be a little bit more formal, a little bit more serious about where I see the network going in the future. Okay, so let me move from the personal side, now that you know a little bit more about me and who I am, to the professional side. I'm sitting here in my office in Shanghai and have the awesome task of trying to give you my vision. I think that calling this a vision statement is a little bit of a misnomer, because I don't think any of us know what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone next week or next month. We are experiencing times that are very unpredictable, very unstable. And when I think back earlier this year, when the topic was whether we will have a Shanghai summit and whether we should postpone or not, it's pretty unbelievable where we are today. If you told me that we would be thinking about postponing the AGM, I would have said there's just no way the situation will last that long. And yet here we are doing our first AGM in the cloud, which is important because we wanted to go on record not skipping this year, not letting COVID or anything else get in our way. And while we're all now sitting in the same situation, some have more problems than others, on some level, we can all be sympathetic to each other and empathetic to each other because we're all experiencing something that's global in nature. So psychologically, and mentally, we're all in the same boat. Sure, some firms are experiencing the financial hit more than others. As we've had calls over the past several months, we've heard each of you share your experiences, share your impact. Some who are doing a lot of litigation are being hit more than some who are doing bankruptcy or employment-related issues. And so we're hearing that. I think one of the amazing things that I've seen is the amount of time and the amount of information sharing that we have done as a network in between our meetings. So I think in many ways, ironically, we've been a lot closer. We certainly never had happy hours or wine tastings online in between meetings. We've never had managing partner calls and getting managing partners involved in Mackerel. Some managing partners had very little, if any, involvement in the network. And yet, in the last 3 or 4 months, we've seen people participate at the management level and give us their sense of what's going on, but also giving them an opportunity to understand more about Mackerel and the network. And I think we've seen the broadening, if you will, of people in our various firms get more and more involved. People are getting on the phone and they're hearing information about reentry policies. We had Baker Donaldson share their thoughts about how are they going to reopen their office in different phases. And we've had other members share their thoughts in terms of how they're dealing with whether it be approaching banks for loans during this time, or how can you approach your landlord to perhaps get a deferment on your rent. And other ideas and suggestions have been shared during this time. So we never did that before as a network. We never got that intimate as a network. Let me at least end with giving you at least some thoughts in terms of what I'd like to see the network improve on. We've spoken about business development. Of course, that is always going to be at the forefront of what we do, because without referring business, it's very difficult to justify being a member. So we understand that. We do a fantastic job of being culturally sensitive because we have so many different cultures and nationalities in our organization. Where I think we need to improve is having more female leadership. If you look at the composition now of the IC and the executive board, we don't have any women sitting on the board. We did in the past, and I think we have to be more cognizant of that in the future. And so I would ask for those of you who are interested in getting more involved at a leadership level to reach out to me or Keith or others on the IC, because I do think we need contribution from not just different cultures and nationalities, but also to have a better balance when it comes to gender. I also want to see more corporate social responsibility. We have so much leverage in this network and so much reach across the world that it's almost irresponsible for us not to give back, particularly with what we're seeing this year. I think we all can feel more of that need to give back. And I think as a network, we're well suited to do that. Now, that's not to say we haven't done that in the past. We absolutely have. We have James Berry in Dubai, who was very active and still is in building an orphanage in Tanzania, and he was gracious enough to share that experience with Mackerel and get the Mackerel members involved, and several Mackerel members, in fact, visited that site, and others have contributed financially. We've had some phenomenal events, the London to Paris bike marathon, where we raised money for different causes. So we have certainly done this in the past, and there are probably many other examples, but I think that we can do more and we can do better. I want to, again, special thanks to Keith and to Nigel for his leadership, for being able to hold us above water for the last 4 months. I come into the network with a lot of challenges, a difficult time, but why I know we will succeed is because I know so many of you. I know so many of you are committed to the network. I know so many of you, when called upon, you rise to the occasion and you give back to the network. And so we will be doing that. We'll be reaching out to you more, because we will need your help to engage and get beyond these challenges. And so I'm excited to work with all of you. Hopefully you know from being with me in the past, I'm very open. I love information sharing. If you have ideas, I want to hear them. And together we will be able to get through this. So thank you so much. My best to all of you. Good health, happiness, and stay well.